Hi there, this is Steve Spurrier. You can join University of Florida Hall of Famer Shane Matthews and also the two-time SEC Player of the Year every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about the Florida Gators, including news, analysis, opinions, and some of the biggest names in sports. You can find him on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Or you can watch him live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter.
Good morning, live edition, folks. We made it to Friday. It is PodUp with Matthews in the morning, coming to you from the International Diamond Center Studios, locations across the state of Florida, right there in Celebration Point, in the heart of Gator Nation. Go by, pick you something out, the International Diamond Center. Today's show, we'll have JC, then we'll have Matt Baker from The Athletic. Covers college football, also used to work for the Tampa Bay Times. Might get his thoughts if he pays any attention to the Bucs. JC, you're on the Titan Tomorrow Hotline.
Yeah. Well,
you're a Buccaneer fan. I know if they're winning games, you become a Buccaneer fan. But I don't really follow what's going on in the training camps or whatever. But obviously Baker Mayfield said, "The hell with y'all."
Yeah.
I'm not talking about, I gave y'all a chance to sign me to a long-term deal and you didn't do it. So I'm going to play it out.
Well, he's going to play out his contract until they do call him. And then they say, okay, let's talk. And I think what they want to do is just try to keep the distractions and, to a minimum. That I don't think they know whether or not he truly is their quarterback for the future, even though we all thought he was. He wanted a new deal, obviously, this deal that he just signed.
Who else are they going to play?
Well, exactly. And I think he's going to realize that. And I think the fact that, they let go of Mike Evans, I think Tampa Bay feels like, hey, we got as far as we'll ever get, maybe with this group, and we're going to start shipping some of these older players out. I mean, Godwin's not a healthy player. He doesn't play an entire season.
But don't they have that one of those Ohio State guys?
They got Ibuka.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
And he's very good. He was one of the best rookies in the league last year. And Baker, I have a friend who sells a product. He's a wholesaler here, and he lives next door to Baker Mayfield. And he's very close, very personal friends with Baker. And he said Baker really more than anything wants to stay in Tampa. He loves the lifestyle. His wife and he love being there. They have multiple friends. They have cross-sport friends. In other words, they know a lot of hockey players, and they all kind of hang together. And he says the weather is perfect. But in this case, I think he's got to show his business face. And even if Tampa Bay gave him a deal that maybe not $100 million like the one he just got before this one ends, this deal that he's currently on, just something that says, hey, I'm gonna retire in Tampa, and this is what we're gonna give him. And I think that you might see that happen at some point during the season, because like you said, what's he gonna go? But he can't go back to Cleveland. He's not gonna go play for Tennessee. He's not going to go play for a team that might need a quarterback. I don't think he can get the same kind of money that he wanted from Tampa. He's going to get what he gets, and he's going to be happy, and he's going to end up probably staying in Tampa, even though he says, I'm out, I'm done. We're just going to play this final season out, and then that's it. Well, no, that's not it. He's going to want to keep playing football. So I believe, not knowing one thing other than the guy who is his neighbor, that he's going to find a way to stay in Tampa at some point. Yeah.
Yeah. Kevin says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law. What a great interview with Eric Rhett the other day. Definitely deserves to be in the Ring of Honor. I agree 1,000%.
I had to hit on that because after I got off on Wednesday, you brought Eric on, and he's one of my all-time favorite Florida Gators. And the idea that the leading rusher, the guy who had more yards than Fred Taylor and Emmitt Smith, and who was, I guess I just learned, was fourth receiving all-time for the University of Florida, is not on the Ring of Honor, and that a guy who left early and made his money and his career in the NFL for the Dallas Cowboys doesn't tell me that the Ring of Honor is about Florida Gator, just that. It's about, how do you do in the NFL? Well, that's the NFL's Hall of Fame.
The NFL, I'm with you, JC. We've talked about this on this program multiple times with different people. Anything you do in the National Football League should have nothing to do with your college Ring of Honor.
Right.
Nothing.
Right. And one of my favorite all-time other Florida Gator players is Wilbur Marshall. And yes, he was really good with the Bears. He also had Mike Singletary and Otis Wilson. playing on the as
But
linebacker.
Will Marshall deserves to be in the ring.
And he absolutely does because of the games he took over as a Florida Gator. I'll never forget in the 80s when he single-handedly beat Southern California here in Gainesville and made them look like a JV team. He was unstoppable. He's the best linebacker, I think, that Florida's ever had. So, yes, because of that, he's on the Ring of Honor. Eric Rett had more yards than Fred, and Fred is arguably, you and I believe, the greatest running back to ever play here, just based on skill. You know, his speed and his size, the way he ran for the Jaguars, and the things he did with the Fighting Gators, his speed was very sneaky. You'd look at him and you go, how's that guy so fast? Because he's not really, it looks effortless. And his power inside the gaps was just amazing. And I thought he was physically maybe the best running back Florida ever had. And yes, he's a Ring of Honor. But Eric Rett had more yards. Eric Rett played in an offense that revolutionized the Southeastern Conference. It revolutionized the Southeastern Conference. He was the guy you threw the ball and handed the ball off to. The shuffle pass against Alabama. I stood in the end zone at Legion Field. I didn't even see him get through. I said, where the hell did that come from? I was looking like the Alabama defense was looking like, where is this guy at? Where's that guy? How are they going to cover this guy? And all of a sudden, here comes Eric Rett right through the what was it, the B gap, and touchdown Gators, A gap, whatever gap. And it was a beautiful play, and it's shocked. They go up, the Fighting Gators are up 7-0 on the undefeated Alabama Crimson Tide in Birmingham, Alabama. First ever SEC championship game. It was cold. I was standing in the end zone. Eric Rett comes flying right at me. I was like, wow, what a play. So anyhow, that was my experience, my memory. And yet, when I worked at TV20, he was one of the guys I did a feature on, and I'll never forget his pet snake. And he had a pet snake. I think it was a baby python or something. I don't know. It was a big damn thing.
Yeah, he had a big snake. No
And he was like just a different cat. And so anyway, I'm glad you had him on. I'm really glad you gave him some time on the show. And he's so his personality was infectious and his enthusiasm was infectious. And he played the same way he acts, full of energy and just a great attitude. He always ran the ball out in practice to the end zone. He always did this. He always did that.
He ran every play. Every time he touched the football,
he would go to the end zone.
Ran to the end zone, and it slowed down practice down.
Well, what
used to be like, just put somebody else in here. We don't have time for him to come back. John says here on Facebook, brought to you by Mel Law, I get the stipulations, but how are Heisman Trophy winners not in the school's Ring of Honor? What more can you do in college? Yeah. Well, all our Heisman winners are in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Tebow, Spurrier, Werfel,
and Danny.
Yeah, Werfel. Yeah.
Yeah,
I like that. You know what else I like this morning? I went out,
JC.
Went out and I checked and I looked on the ground, and out of nowhere was the Main Street Daily News. And this is a newspaper.
Was it look at rolled up in a rubber band?
Yeah, well, no, it was rolled up in a plastic bag. And I opened the newspaper. This is what I used to do when I was growing up. I'd open a newspaper up and I'd look at it and I'd read it, and my fingers would get little black stains on them. And I would look at the box score, the baseball for the night before, and then I'd read the columnist. The columnist when I was growing up was a guy named Jack Hairston. And then we had Mike Bianchi, and we had really good writers. And then Pat Dooley showed up. And look, here he is. Here's Pat Dooley. You know, he's been around. I think he's 74 years old. He's 71 years old. And he's 10 years older than I am. So, yeah, 71. God bless him. Here he is writing in here. And they have great local stories. Santa Fe honors longtime baseball coach Johnny Wiggs, former Gator. Yeah, former Gator. There he is. There's Johnny. I mean, this is kind of cool.
Main Street Daily News, bringing the newspaper back.
Call them up. Get a subscription.
Rick here from Jupiter on the Titan Mart text line says, I really like JC's approach to the quarterback competition between Philo and Trammell. Let the guy who gives the team the best chance to win earn the job. It seems like a lot of the fan base has already picked their favorite based on their own biases. Yep. And if the Gators don't choose that guy, they automatically think the coach has got it wrong. What are your thoughts on that? I agree. And that's what they're going to do. Yeah. They're going to play the player that gives them the best chance to win football games every Saturday.
And sometimes in very rare cases, maybe they miss at the beginning. And my prime example of that is Felipe Franks and Kyle Trask. But, if you're open to change, you will succeed if you adapt, which of course is not what the guy before the guy we used to have was willing to do. I think John will do exactly what he's hired to do and play the best player that he believes gives the Gators the best chance to win. And Buster Faulkner will have a lot of input on that. But at the end of the day, as they like to say these days, it's going to be up to John Summerall. He is in charge, and he's going to make that call, and I trust it. So.
Yeah, and then he also says he agrees Eric Brett should be in the Ring of Honor, but Percy needs to go up ASAP. He's the greatest of all time. He's the best I've ever seen with the ball in his hands in my lifetime as a Gator.
Who again?
Percy has no chance of getting in unless they change the criteria.
Now, Percy was unstoppable, man. I've said this. I've said this 100 times. It's worth repeating. Percy Harvin did a lot to help old number 1-5 get the numbers and the stats that he got offensively. There is no question in my mind when Tim would just throw it up in the air just blindly, Percy would beat two guys in many cases to get the ball and take charge of the football game. LSU here in Gainesville was one prime example. We had 3rd and long in the end zone. I can't remember the year. LSU, it's the very beginning of the game. Tim drops back in the end zone and just throws it 50 yards down the field up in the air like Gino Toretta used to do. And by God, like Lamar Thomas, Percy Harvin.
Well, if I remember that play, JC, he actually underthrew it and it should have been intercepted, but the guy tipped it straight to Percy.
Well, okay, so maybe you're right. He tipped it. I don't know. I just remember Percy coming down with the damn thing, and I was like, wow, this guy's great. But he did so many good things for Florida. He's so fast, and he was just a fantastic player. Absolutely.
Yes, he was. Silverback Concrete builds firm foundations for generations. You stand on it. We stand by it.
Another great Florida.
Another great. Watching tennis. What have you been doing?
Yeah. So I have been watching tennis, and I'm glad you brought that up. We're in the hard court season now, and they're playing in the Mubadala tournament over there in Washington, D.C. I had a great match last night between Ugo Umberto, who is French, by the way, and Ben Shelton. And Ben loses the first set 6-7, or lost 3 in the tiebreaker, 7-3 in the tiebreaker, comes back, wins the second set 6-4, wins the third set 7-6. And he has a way, Ben, of playing hard when his back's up against the wall, but he sure makes it hard on himself sometimes going 3 sets with a guy like this. Now, this guy played good tennis, and these guys are all fantastic players, but he shouldn't be struggling. But regardless, you win a match, it really is all that matters, and he's now in the quarterfinals. And he will likely see Rafael Hodar, who is a up-and-coming Spaniard that people are talking a lot about in the quarterfinals, and that will be a very difficult match.
JC, I love this question here from Chris on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing.
See.
What do y'all think happens first? Gator Golf finally gets their new facility built, or does Gator football make the college football playoff?
That is a tough one there. Chris Paul, 64-19.
You think that's Chris Paul, the NBA basketball player?
Probably, yeah.
Probably. You think he tunes in?
Yeah, he's not playing basketball anymore. He's watching us. He's a Gator fan.
He gave up being a Demon Deacon fan?
Yes. What do you now, man? Well, okay.
That's a great question.
We have a timeline. We have a timeline on one of those scenarios, and the timeline.
We do, and I still don't believe it.
Okay,
I'm
that's
on the
fine.
Gator Golf booster board, and I don't believe it.
Okay, I get it. I understand.
Have you seen any shovel or any type of tractor?
Well, let me.
Any dirt?
Okay, so you know someone on the Gator Golf booster board. I know someone on the Alachua County Board of Commissioners.
Okay,
and these guys have the power,
and they get a lot done around here. They like to cut trees. They don't let you cut any trees down.
Anyway, what I was going to share with you was that ground is being broken in exactly 11 months in June of 2027. So
we'll be lucky to be able to put the tee in the ground in 29 or 30.
Be very lucky. So that gives you a timeline to maybe figure out if the Gators can finally get to the field of 12, or maybe by then, QB, to answer
24.
Chris. It could be 16 or 24 teams. But to answer Chris's question, I'm going to go with the Gators to make the CFP. And I believe because I think they can do it before the year 2029. And that's when I think we're going to see the balls in the air at that facility. It'll be in 2029 and maybe even later because you know how things go. But I do think that the Gators can get to the CFP, and then especially if they expand it to 16 teams, or as you say, 24 teams. But it's a really interesting thought. But the only thing I can go by is what I think I know, and what I think I know is what I've heard the board of commissioners say, and that my brother included has commented that they will break ground next summer.
Yeah. Greg says, but yet Philo is starting because they wouldn't have brought him here from Georgia Tech if he wasn't going to be the starter. I'm just telling you, the
They're
one
on
thing
that.
that I don't know, I say this all the time. I don't know a whole lot in the world, JC. I know that position very, very well. And am I right on some things? Yes. Am I wrong? Yes. But I am pretty confident that Aaron Philo will be the starter.
I like it. Okay. I mean, I like, okay, here's the thing I like about you. Whether you're right or wrong, you are willing to at least say emphatically what you truly are willing
From what
to
my
plant
eyes
your
show
flag in.
me, if put it
I
this
know.
way, I like Trammell. I like Will Griffin a lot. But when I
Yeah.
watch and I say, okay, who gives the Florida Gators
Yeah.
the chance to win a bunch of football games this year? It's Aaron Philo.
Okay. All right. Well, I wish they would just say he's the starter, but they're
I
not.
mean, but it gives people, gives all these talk shows around America something to talk about every day.
If you don't say who the starter is, correct.
Because if we say, go out there and say, Will Griffin's going to be our starter, all hell's going to break loose. How are they going to start a true freshman?
Well,
And
what
then
if
they're
they
going to
don't?
second guess the coach.
What if they just say Aaron Philo is our starter?
Yeah. Well, then it doesn't give anybody anything to talk about.
That's exactly right. And
Yeah.
any publicity is usually pretty good when it comes down to guessing games. And we'll see.
But like Baron says here, it makes sense. Philo is entering his third year with Buster Faulkner, who
Right.
handpicked him, who wanted to play him as the starter at Georgia Tech, quite honestly, and has played more games than Trammell, and you have brought him in with Faulkner. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I think John, when Buster and John got on the phone and John said, hey, man, you want to come call plays down here? I'm pretty certain that they had a conversation about who he might be bringing with him from Atlanta.
exactly.
I mean, right? I mean, so when John hears that, he goes, I like this idea. I like that idea. I think he's a player I think we can handle. I think that's what I want you to do. And Buster said, I'll sign me up right now. Let's go. And every one of those coaches I saw playing golf the other day was having a damn good time. I think they're in great spirits. And I know they're excited about getting back on the field, and it's all about that and blowing off some steam before you get to work. But they're excited about it, man. There is a really good vibe, and I talked to some of the coaches I didn't know in the clubhouse, and man, they're just really excited. So I mean, this is what you expect, right? I mean, this is what you're hoping for, and
every fan base is excited right now.
Oh yeah,
in America.
Yeah,
That's what you do. You get excited, and then after like 2 games, everybody's like, "Oh, hell, I can't wait till next year." Did you know gold and silver have outperformed the S&P 500 over the last 25 years? Money Metals specializes in helping first-time investors, plus they're owned by 2 Gator grads, Mike and Stephen Gleason. To learn more, visit moneymetals.com.
Good question here.
Bruce Green says, Shane, you have been wrong several times before. Maybe
okay.
I'd like you to fill me in.
Well, okay, you were on Kiffin, but we're not going to worry about that. But
I ain't the only one, because I know for a fact that was a done deal until some things went sideways.
Well, look, the point is,
who gives a crap? He ain't our coach.
What I'm saying is, the point is, I get things out of you that you actually truly believe, and it's nice to hear once in a while, because sometimes you can't say certain things. Maybe you feel like that would contradict the things I do over there, and that's fine too. I mean, that's your gig. But MSRK, this is a good question, and we'll get back to the Gators in a minute. Who the Rays are going to sign? Another batter, another arm. The trade deadline is August 3rd, so we got just a few days. Tampa Bay's going to get another bat, and I'm telling you, this pitching staff they have. Again, another low-scoring win yesterday in St. Petersburg. Let's be clear where they play. For the Rays, this team wins at home. They win at home. Their record is incredibly good. It's very impressive. I think they're going to beat the White Sox this weekend coming up, and I think they're going to get another bat. And if they get another bat, you better consider them to win the American League. I truly think so. Their pitching is just really good, man. They're really good.
Yeah. Barone says Tremel Jones has a bright future. Just think Filo's the best QB for the job right now. I agree. I think the brightest quarterback on the roster is Will Griffin.
Yeah,
The
well,
brightest future.
the trick's going to be keeping these guys in the system and keeping them around.
That's every school, JC. You know,
I know.
I mean, it's not just the Gators don't have that problem.
No, I know, but it seems like a lot of guys, if they don't get their way, going to go run.
And well, they do that at other schools too.
Well, they do, yeah. But
I mean, look at Austin Simmons. Austin Simmons gone. Yeah. I mean, there's transfers all around America.
But look at Ty Simpson, first round draft pick, waited 2.5 years. Mac Jones, first round draft pick, waited 2.5 years. I mean, you can grow as a player.
Before you could just haul ass anytime you wanted to.
Very true.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, hopefully those kinds of legalities will be adjusted. I think it's better for the kids to not bounce around. I do. How many stories do we know of kids begging for money, getting this, getting that, hopping around to the next highest bidder, and not really improving as a football player? The one that comes to mind first is Nico Iamaleava, and he sucks. And it's not, but he's rich. He's rich. He's got money. He's got his health probably. He won't play in the NFL, but you know what he will do? If he's smart, he'll hire people to manage his affairs and keep that money and be extremely wealthy for the next 3 generations of his family. So God bless him. He did it, but he's not a good football player. So no, not at all. So listen, to each your own. I want it to work for all the players here, but like you always say, QB, only one guy can play that position. You got 2 tackles, you got 2 guards on the offensive line, you got 3, 4, 5 wide receivers, you got 3 running back, 1 quarterback. That's it. So
that's right. Moron says, I'd like to see some 2006 Tebow-esque packages for Will Griffin. He ain't a runner.
Yeah, that's
yeah, no, we're not going to put any of our quarterbacks at fullback. Like, that's what Tebow was in 2006. He was a fullback.
He punished people when he hit them. Some quarterbacks are just not going to run over linebackers. It's the other way around. Yeah.
Daryl on Titan Mar text line says, do y'all think the Auburn game is very important to win to set up the rest of the season?
I do.
Going hotel prices aren't cheap. Yeah, I mean, it's a huge game. I mean, JC thinks if we lose the game, the season's over.
No, I didn't say that. Don't say that. I didn't say that. Don't put those words in my mouth. I just think it's highly important for the confidence of the team, for the vibe, for the momentum, because, the following week, the best quarterback in the league basically is coming to town. So you're going to want to beat Byron Brown, okay? If you want to beat Tramless, you better beat Brown. And I know the game's at Auburn. They're fired up as hell. They love what they see up there. They're stoked. This guy's got 4,000 all-purpose yards. He's thrown for 49 touchdowns. But our coach wanted a place like South Florida. Whoever does that, yeah, I get it. The hype there is real. It's okay. It's like you said, everybody's hyping right now. We're in the hype season. And pretty soon, in about 4 weeks, 3 weeks, we're going to be in the regular season. And it's okay. It's really okay. But yeah, that Auburn game to me is a trend. It could set a trend. It may not mean anything. Like you say, we may win the rest of our game. We may lose them even if they beat Auburn after that. It's just one game. It's true. That's a cliche, one game at a time, blah, blah. It's just one game. It's an important game, though.
It's an extremely important game. And,
yeah,
some are all, people that like you, JC, that love stats and trends.
I look at that.
Has had a lot of success against Alex Golesh.
I think that's a good sign. That's a good sign. I adjusted my trip to Europe for this game to make sure I'm back for that. So yeah, so I'm
delays.
Thanks. Thanks a lot. Well, you're right.
Are you going to play golf? Or are you going to sightsee?
This is going to be a sightseeing and exploratory trip with the wife.
Oh, dear.
Oh, dear.
Oh, dear.
Oh, dear.
We got a lot of questions on here about Neil Anderson. Yes, I played with Neil 1 year in Chicago. Neil, we both know Neil. Neil lives in Gainesville. Neil does not go towards the campus ever.
No, but maybe one day he'll have a reason to. And I think everybody who's watching this show knows what we're actually talking about. So, UF Gators UF. He's just a fabulous viewer we have talking about. Yeah, okay.
Is she gonna go to Spain?
JC being a bleeding heart liberal is why he gets that newspaper for free. No, it's because they drop it off in my yard. They must love the show here, and they say, hey, let's give the old boy a newspaper. I don't know. I mean, QB moves so many times. They don't know where you live, but they probably would drop off one for you too. Maybe I'll tell them where you live, and that way you can
read it.
Well, it's kind of neat.
I just don't have the patience to read stuff anymore.
Oh, dear. Oh, boy.
You know, that's what happens.
Yeah. Well, we're all getting older. I am definitely not a bleeding heart liberal. Okay. Now Mike Duke says I'm negative. What's negative, Mike? I don't know what he's mean. I don't know what he means by that. But
so, JC, before we let you go, did you happen to watch any of the Detroit golf tournament yesterday?
Well, no, but I see that one guy can play that course and light it up, and it's Ricky Fowler, who
picked him?
Oh, who picked him? And then this guy who's leading, never heard of him. I've never heard of him.
Bruce wants to know, why doesn't Neil come back to Gainesville? He lives in Gainesville.
Yeah, he lives here. He comes out and plays on my golf course.
He plays golf. He doesn't want to have anything to do with the university.
And I go and he works out with me in the not with me, but I see him plenty of times in the gym over here at Hawkstone. Neil will be fine. Neil, he will be fine. But I think they do need to recognize those.
I'm telling you, it's time. They got to. Well, there's no reason to do it now, because I don't even know what the stadium is going to look like in the next, while they're doing all this construction. But when it is finished, I'd be damned if they shouldn't have 80, 45, and 90 on those walls.
100%. 100%. Best teams in football. And yeah, Charlie Pell twisted the rules around a little bit, but those players were on the field, honestly. And those players that were on the field were the best 22 players on offense and defense in America. And I would bet everything I own that they would have blown BYU out in that year, that BYU beat Michigan in the Holiday Bowl and somehow was voted the #1 team in the nation.
Quarterback could be Robbie Bosco.
It may have been somebody like that, yeah. But I don't care.
I was a young kid, JJC, this is funny, living in the Mississippi Delta, right?
Yeah.
You never got to watch. I mean, there was like one or two football games on a week back in the the 70s and the 80s. I wanted to play at BYU so bad.
You did?
Because their quarterbacks threw it like every down.
Well, Lavelle Edwards that's how he did it. That's that his Air Force. I will tell you though, the 84-5 Gators physically were akin to the 95 Nebraska Cornhuskers, the 2001 Miami Hurricanes, and the 2012 Alabama Crimson Tide. That Gator team in the 80s was more physical than any team in America, and they would have absolutely manhandled BYU, and everybody knows it. But we'll never, that never got realized because of what happened. So yeah, it's a shame. But physically, nobody beat that team. No chance.
All right, JC. Is Ricky Fowler going to win the golf tournament before we get you out?
I gotta be honest, I like his chance. He's 8-1. You can get him at 8-1 right now to win, but I would say top 5, top 10 for sure, and just bet it and take Ricky across the board that way, and you will win more than you lose, because if you win top 5, you're gonna obviously win top 10, right? And if you win the tournament, you get all 3 of those. If you finish in the top 10, you'll probably get enough odds to pay for the first 2 bets. So I think he's a good bet. I think he obviously loves this course. He's very comfortable here. And that was a good pick by you, because I didn't even look at him really. And I should have. He's won there, but he didn't win last year, but he has won there.
Kevin says here on the Titan MR text line, he thinks the quarterback was Jim McMahon, but no. Jim McMahon was the Bears quarterback for the Super Bowl in '85.
Yeah. It wasn't
been in the league for several years.
Whoever was after him, and maybe it was
Robbie Bosco.
Yeah, that's a good guess. They would have got their skull dragged against the Florida Gators.
All right, JC.
All right, my man.
Have a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday.
We'll be there. Okay.
That is JC joining us on the Titan Number Hotline. We'll take a quick time out. We'll come back. We'll talk a little college football, the entire athletic, not the Atlantic, but the athletic.
Very big difference.
Watching and listening. It wasn't Detmer either. Detmer's my age.
Yep.
You're watching and
Time.
listening to PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the International Diamond Center Studios. We'll be right back.
Our premium sponsors are Atlantic Roofing, Campus USA Credit Union, International Diamond Center, J.F. Hayden's Craft Liqueurs, Los Landeros Tequila, Meldon Law, Titan MRI and Imaging, Castaway Sauce, UF Health Orthopedics, Michael Schneider PLLC, Florida Legends Gala and Experience, Money Metals, Sensei Asian Bistro. Our gridiron sponsors are Baker Sports, Florida Cracker Oyster, Gallo Car Wash, Miapa Latin Cafe, Peachland Dental, Quality Plumbing, Ruse Ogre State Farm, Silverback Concrete, 84 Lumber, Big Mills Cheesesteaks, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Florida Cracker Kitchen, Gator Dominoes, Ironwood Golf Course, McDonald's of Gainesville, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, UF Bookstores, International Gold and Diamond, Advocare, and MGA&A Wealth. Watch and listen to us live on Facebook or YouTube. Listen to podcasts wherever, on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And to advertise, be sure to call my man Freddie at 352-284-3733.
Join Steve Spurrier, Danny Warple, and Tim Tebow together with their Heisman trophies for the Legends Gala at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill on Sunday, August 23rd. Enjoy an unforgettable night of Gator greatness while supporting the incredible mission of Isaiah 1:17 House. Tickets are limited. Get yours now at FLLegends.com. That's FLLegends.com. Don't miss your chance to be part of Gator history.
Naysayers, setbacks, injuries. Life throws a lot of hurdles your way. The key is just keep jumping them.
The jewelry store with the most likes, the most positive reviews, the most raving fans is International Diamond Center.
IDC is definitely a place that I will come to as long as I live here. This will be my go-to place always.
Literally the best jewelry store in town. You'll make friends for life coming in here. I felt like family from the beginning. The value was extraordinary.
I've got a beautiful diamond on my finger and I'm very proud of it.
International Diamond Center.
I'm very happy to show it off.
At Celebration Point and online at shopidc.com.
Gainesville's best-kept secret is finally being revealed. Introducing Sensei Asian Bistro. Located in Celebration Point next to Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, Sensei delivers a one-of-a-kind Japanese-French fusion experience that's as refined as it is unforgettable. Indulge in signature dishes like our smoked New York strip, Chilean sea bass, matcha curry, or the crave-worthy chunggang chili chicken. Pair it all with handcrafted cocktails, fresh crudo oysters, or our premium A5 Wagyu tataki. Sensei Asian Bistro. Make your reservation today.
Welcome back to the International Diamond Center Studios. Florida Cracker Oyster Bar and Grill is the ultimate spot for seafood and more. No matter the occasion, they're ready to welcome you Florida Cracker style. Check them out in Keystone Heights. Back to the Titan MR Hotline. We're now joined by Matt Baker. He's a national college reporter for The Athletic. Good morning, Matt. How you doing, man?
I'm good, Shane. Good to connect with you as always, man.
Yeah, before we jump into the SEC, you're right there in the Tampa area. Brian Hartline takes over South Florida. Did you like that hire?
It surprised me a little bit, and I don't quite know why, because I just didn't know that this would be the job that he would jump for. Because, I mean, clearly he was, I mean, maybe the best assistant coach in the country when you look at what he did as a position coach at Ohio State with dude after dude after dude, either because he recruited them or because he developed them or identified them, like whatever the secret sauce is. He played an enormous part in it. So I didn't know what job he would jump for, but USF made a lot of sense for him. He's been in Florida a good amount, played for the Dolphins, all that stuff, recruited the heck out of Florida with getting a lot of those really good receivers, including Jeremiah Smith. However, he's a first-time head coach. So there's a lot of we don't know what he doesn't know yet. And USF is in just a fascinating spot where they are all in on football for the first time maybe ever. In the last couple of years, they've been all in, all the chips on the table with the new stadium they're building, the other facilities upgrades, full rev share, all that stuff, where USF is finally wanting to be like a big boy in college football. And we'll see if Hartline is the guy who can kind of push them to that next level, whatever that ends up being.
When is their new stadium supposed to be finished? Are they
Next year.
Next year? Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it, the price tag, depending on how you do the math, 350, $400 million, somewhere in there. And every time we go by, there's more stuff going on. It keeps going up. I mean, I was a skeptic. I didn't know that it would ever happen because it's so expensive. And USF had, just really quickly, they talked about building a football stadium on campus before USF was a school, before it actually existed. That's a true fact. So for all these decades to finally get it, I was like, yeah, I'll believe it when it happens. Well, it's happening. So we'll see what all that does. It has potential to be a huge thing for the football program, and they argue for the university as a whole.
Yeah. Speaking of new stadiums, you're a Northwestern grad. What do you think about the new stadium on campus?
That is crazy to me. I covered games at Ryan Field as a Cub reporter for the Daily Northwestern, went to games as a fan in the marching band, all this stuff. It wasn't a dump, but it certainly wasn't nice. And that was years ago. So the idea that Northwestern would also be putting hundreds of millions of dollars into building, this is an exaggeration. It might be the nicest stadium in the country when all is said and done. It just does not compute in my head that Northwestern has decided this is what we want to do. But football is important to a lot of people there with money. And I also think if we look at the big picture of college sports, it's not crazy for me to say that I can envision a scenario where the SEC and Big Ten are looking around at Mississippi State, Vanderbilt, Arkansas, Purdue, Northwestern, and like, why are these guys here? Right? Ohio State doesn't need Northwestern. Ohio State doesn't need Purdue. Michigan doesn't need those guys. So my point is, Northwestern might have seen some of the writing on the wall. We got to get good. We have to get relevant if we want to continue to be a big boy. And the football stadium is part of that kind of calculus.
Yeah. Miapa Latin Cafe, proud to support Gator Nation for 23 years. Best Latin food north of Miami. Check out one of our 5 locations today. We got Matt Baker from The Athletic. All right. You were at SEC Media Days there in Tampa. Just your overall thought from what you took out of whether it was the coaches, whether it's what Greg Sankey said, the 4 or 5 days you were there.
So one of the things, this is boring, but the talk of an SEC breakaway, quote air quotes here, whatever that means, it's real. I don't think it's going to be like the SEC is going to secede from the rest of college football and stage their own playoff, and the Gators are going to be the SEC champion and not play anybody else. I don't think it's going to be that. But some of the other things, and again, this is boring, but in terms of governance, coming up with their own rules, how do we enforce these rules? It's not crazy to think that the SEC can go down that road. Greg Sankey simultaneously tapped the brakes while also saying, there's a real button we can push over here. Mm-hmm. So that, I think, is a really big thing. It's not happening today. It's not happening tomorrow, but that is a big flag to kind of keep monitoring. Other than that, it was a pretty uneventful couple of days. Honestly, the first couple were kind of sleepy. Lane Kiffin and Pete Golding, though, are obviously lightning rods, and because this is a bunch of Gators here. John Summerall, I thought, did really well. Does this mean he's going to win games? No, it doesn't. But I think he conducted himself well and got people talking about the Gators in a positive way for Florida. And honestly, that's the mission at SEC Media Days. Don't say anything stupid. Hopefully have people talking about you in a good way. And I think Summerall checked those boxes.
Andy's question for you on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law, says, Matt, why aren't more colleges signing private equity deals like Utah did to help take fundraising for football programs to the next level?
It's really, really complicated is the short answer. And it's complicated for the private equity groups, and it's also complicated for the schools. So for instance, FIU, we'll pick on them for a second. FIU could benefit from such a thing because they don't have a ton of money. But Florida International is a public institution. It's owned by the public. It's owned by the people. So to come up with a way to sell that to a company or sell part of it to another to a company, you have to form a new institution. You have to come up with the governance, the boring rules of how is this different than anything else? Is it a licensing deal where the FIU logo and all that stuff, where they're renting to play at FIU Stadium on campus? Like all these things are really, really, really complicated. Where Utah announced it in December and they didn't close on it. I think it was late in May when they finally, dotted all the I's and crossed all the T's. So it's really complicated. There's a lot of money. Every one of these is different, is something that people have explained to me, where if Utah did it, you can't just like, okay, here are the terms. We're going to copy and paste that to Florida or to Washington or whatever. You can't do that. It's all so specific and so extremely complicated that it takes time. I thought right now there would be more than just Utah and the Big 12. Maybe there will be more still coming, but it's really complicated and complex, and there's a lot to lose for the athletic departments and the universities in terms of control and money. So there's just a lot of moving parts. Great question.
James on the Titan MR text line from Chattanooga wants to know Matt's prediction of what he thinks happens with the Gators this year.
I don't have a great read on them. That's a terrible answer, and I apologize. Could I see a subpar year like last year? Yeah, I could envision that. If the quarterbacks don't work out, if the offensive line isn't better than what it was in the spring, yeah, I can envision that. Could I also envision Florida going 9-3 maybe as the ceiling? Yeah, I can squint and see that too. So there's just a huge variance here, and to me, it comes down to, like I said, I feel good about the receivers. I think they're very strong. I think Jaden Baugh's one of the best running backs in the SEC, maybe the country. D-line, I think, is going to be fine. If Philo or Jones ends up hitting at quarterback, then Florida's got a real chance here because I like the staff Summerall is assembled. But if they're not great, neither one really impressed me a ton in the spring game. It's a spring game, so take it for what it's worth. But that's my concern right now with Florida, kind of holding me back from a lot more optimism there for year one.
William on the Titan MR text line wants to know, who are your top 3 coaches in college football in the country?
I still think you have to say Kirby Smart is in that conversation. Yeah, the last couple years have been down, but if winning the SEC and going to the playoff is a down year for Georgia, okay, that tells you where they are. You got to have Curt Cignetti. I mean, I'm from Indiana. The idea that Indiana would win a national championship in football is so bewildering. I cannot describe how irrelevant IU football was. I grew up 45 minutes away from there. And not once in my 18 years there did the Baker family ever say, you know what? We're not doing anything on Saturday. Why don't we hop over to Bloomington? We can buy cheap tickets and go check out the IU Michigan State game. Never happened, ever. So there's that. Number 3 is tricky. I mean, you probably have to go Ryan Day. Yeah, I think you have to go Ryan Day because of how successful he's been over the long haul. There's concerns about, obviously all the games he lost to Michigan and what have you, but he has been so good and at such a high level. Even if it's at a recession-proof program like Ohio State, I think he's probably 3rd off the top of my head.
Playoffs sit at 12 teams right now. Where are we next year, or maybe 2 years from now, in your opinion?
Next year and 2 years from now could be different. I still think next year is 12, but after that, I think it gets interesting. The SEC in particular wants more data and more information in terms of if we expand to 24, what does that mean for the regular season? And I think that's a great question. To me, the beauty of college football is the whole any given Saturday thing, right? Where if Michigan can lose to App State, and that's a huge deal, and it has major ramifications going forward. If we lose some of that, or where Florida loses to Auburn in week 3, and that's not a big deal because they can still go 8-4 and make the playoff. I think that's a problem. I don't know how big of a problem it is. Maybe it makes up for it because when Florida's playing Florida State, and they're both kind of in that 9-3, 8-4 range. Winners in the playoff. Maybe that makes up for it at the end. I don't know, but I think those are the questions that we need the information to figure out. And I think we're going to need more data, and important people are kind of coming up with that stuff. So that's a long-winded answer, or a long-winded way of not answering your question. But I think for now, it's still going to be 12 until something changes where it needs to go to 24. But let's also not forget everything else going on in the sport. I mean, as we sit here today, I don't know what's going to happen with the Senate bill and whether they're going to change things. Right now, life support might be a little too strong, but it's not looking great. However, if things change, we can envision that as a starting point to, all right, now we know the regulatory framework. Let's figure out this playoff thing. So I still think we're a year away from a change, but I don't think it's crazy to think it will happen either.
You cover the entire nation, and
Mhm.
obviously it's the same cast of characters most people have in their 12-team playoff. Maybe a couple of guys from, maybe whether it's a group of 5 or whatever. Who's a dark horse, regardless of what conference it is, that you think could possibly make the playoffs this year that people may not be talking about?
The G6 is wild, right? Because like if you look at the American, Tulane lost their coach obviously to Florida and Summerall. USF lost their coach out, Alex Golesh to Auburn. North Texas, Memphis, they lost their coach. So that's a complete crapshoot to me. We're the top of that. I don't know where they're going to go. So I look at Navy as a possibility. They might be the best because they've been stable. So that's one that intrigues me. The other one in the G6 that intrigues me is UNLV and our old pal Dan Mullen. Obviously, we know what happened at Florida, right? We all have eyes and ears. We watched and went through it and experienced it firsthand. So what's interesting, though, is he didn't forget how to coach football. He did a fine job last year at UNLV. I think with the quarterbacks, bringing in Alex Orji was one. There's another, the Auburn, Jackson Arnold, bringing in Jackson Arnold as well. He's got talented quarterbacks. UNLV is in a good position in the Mountain West after some of the realignment and Boise leaves and what have you. UNLV is one of those that's sitting pretty, where I would not be surprised at all if we're talking about them in November as a real playoff contender. I mean, not necessarily to win a game, but to get in there as the 12th seed.
And I want to say week 0, they're playing, is it Memphis?
I think they play Memphis early. I think that's right.
Yeah, so and I don't know who the rest of their schedule is, but that game is probably crucial for them to make the playoffs. Matt, who I know it's early, and it may be our last year of the SEC championship game. I don't know how that's all going to work out with championship games, but who do you predict to be in Atlanta this year?
Well, it better be Texas, just because of what they've done. Sark is an accomplished coach, but he hasn't been a great coach as a head coach. But with Arch coming back, second year as a starter, bringing in Cam Coleman, Hollywood Smothers, and those guys, if it's not Texas, boy, we got to have a talk, man. This is the boring answer, but it's probably Georgia, Georgia's younger this year. So maybe this is a step back year, and maybe, I don't know, LSU moves in there or Bama or OU or somebody like that. But Georgia has been so consistent. Gunnar Stockton is still somehow there at quarterback. Feels like he's been there 1,000 years at this point. And they've got so much talent where it feels like that's not the floor, but it feels like that's just the expectation. So that would be, and I take Texas to win, just because if not now, then when?
Yeah. Castaway Hot Sauce, try their signature ball kicker hot sauce inspired by the HBC Steve Spurrier and his famous kick in 1966. A few more minutes here with Matt Baker from The Athletic. AMAC on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, says, Matt, can you discuss the variables in your recent football program valuation listing, and how did the Gators fare?
Yeah, so you can check it out on The Athletic. A couple days ago, we did a valuation. So basically, if you could buy or sell the Florida Gators, Texas Longhorns, Notre Dame football team, what would it cost? So the quick version is there's a couple ways that schools report their revenue and expenses. One is NCAA reports, and that for a public school, you can send a public records request and get it. and it breaks down revenue, expenses, all that stuff. For everybody else, for the private schools, they also do submit something to the federal government, the Department of Education. It's called the EADA. If you're really bored, Google EADA Sports, and you can search for it really easily and figure out what did this school make in football. So we take the football revenue, average it out over the last couple of years to try and smooth it out, get rid of some outliers, and then we do what's called a multiplier. So in the NFL, an NFL team might sell for 10, 11 times what its revenue is. So if they make $100 million a year, they might sell for 10 times that, $1 billion. Simple math, right? So basically, we applied that thinking to college football. How much did a team bring in over the last couple of years? And then what would be a fair multiplier? So we treated the SEC and Big Ten kind of like NFL and NBA teams, which are higher in the 8 to 12 or 8 to 14 range, and we treated ACC and Big 12 teams lower in the 6 to 10 range, like an NHL or an MLB team. So you kind of crunch those numbers. I think we had Florida at 12th or something in that range. Basically, they're not at the very top of the SEC. You're thinking about an Alabama there. You're thinking about Georgia. Texas is number one, pretty far ahead from everybody else. But Florida's in that, the middle court or the middle 50%, I'd say, in the SEC.
That's interesting. Very, very interesting. Matt, good stuff as always. Let everybody know they can follow you on Twitter and get a subscription of The Athletic. Yeah,
so I'm on Twitter at Matt Baker CFB, and you can get The Athletic as part of the New York Times bundle. I will make a quick plug on that. I enjoy the news stuff because I'm a news junkie. The cooking, though, in NY Times cooking is legit. I did not realize this until we got a subscription before I started at The Athletic. Like half of the dinners we make are from New York Times cooking. So if you like to cook, you can get that as part of the bundle and read all of my terrible writing and reporting in there as well and yell at me in the comment section.
Appreciate your time, my man. Probably see you in a press box somewhere along the season.
All right. Thanks, Shane. Appreciate it.
That is Matt Baker joining us on the Titan Tomorrow Hotline. Peachland Dentistry, Gator Nation's #1 choice of dentistry in Port Charlotte and surrounding areas. Go check them out at peachlanddental.com. Again, thanks to JC and Matt Baker for joining us. Have a great weekend, folks. We'll see y'all on Monday. Take care.